Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans. And first of all, this is a shout out to Herzog. Thank you very much for the link that you sent me. Now, I know a lot of you have been asking about traveling or settling in New Zealand. And there's an article which I've got here, which is headed 50 in-demand jobs in New Zealand that South Africans can apply for. Isn't that great news? Immigration New Zealand has published its Year at the Border report for 2018 that between July 2017 and June 2018, the country's immigration screened millions of hopefuls looking to live and work in the island country. In the 2017-2018 year, there were 850,000 visa applications involving 1.1 million people, 230,000 work visa applications, 105,000 student visa applications, and 23,000 residence applications. The report also shows that New Zealand immigration is strict about who it allows into the country, with INZ making 4,579 decisions to either prevent a passenger from boarding a flight to New Zealand or refusing a passenger entry into the country upon arrival. And South Africa had 125 people who were rejected with their attempt to flight to New Zealand. That's interesting, isn't it? New Zealand is becoming an increasingly popular destination for emigrating South Africans who want to live in a safer environment with greater job prospects. Historically, South Africans have entered the country on residence and work visas. However, the data shows that there has also been an increase in student visa arrivals in recent years. Notably, the data shows a sharp rise of accepted applicants in 2017 and 2018, with more than 5,534 South Africans moving to the country by November 2018 alone. So it's very doable. How do you get into New Zealand? At the end of November 2018, New Zealand's Department of Education said it would be targeting countries with teaching qualifications that are similar to New Zealand, including South Africa, to help deal with its teacher shortage. So if you're a teacher in South Africa and a properly qualified teacher, you've got a good chance of getting into New Zealand. However, there are a number of other employment opportunities also open to South Africans, with Statistics New Zealand finding that around 2,953 South Africans moved to the country on a work visa in 2018. These jobs are typically split into two different categories: the Long-Term Skill Shortage List, or LTSSL, and the Immediate Skill Shortage List, or ISSL. New Zealand also recently added the Construction and Infrastructure Skill Shortage List, or CISSL, which primarily focuses on trade jobs. Now, we talked about trade jobs in New Zealand the other day. Remember, Invercargill and Dunedin were looking for tradies. The long-term skill shortage, LTSSL, identifies occupations where there is a sustained and ongoing shortage of highly skilled workers, both globally and throughout New Zealand. If you get a job in an occupation on the LTSSL and meet the list requirements, you may be granted a work to residence visa under the Long-Term Skill Shortage List work visa. This means that you may be eligible to apply residency in 2 years, provided you meet standard requirements and the job has a base salary of at least 45,000 New Zealand dollars, which is very achievable. Some of these jobs include, now this is the meat we're talking about here: automotive electrician, industrial engineer, chef, procurement manager, chemical engineer, medical radiation therapist, civil engineer, network administrator, clinical psychologist, obstetrician and gynecologist, electrician, physiotherapist, environmental research scientist, quantity surveyor, film animator, surgeon, general practitioner, telecommunications engineer, ICL business analyst, veterinarian, ICT project manager, web developer. Now that's a big one. That's a biggie. Immediate skills shortage list. The immediate skills shortage list includes occupations where skilled workers are immediately required in New Zealand and indicate that there are no New Zealand citizens or residents available to take up this position. If you are offered a job on the ISSL and meet the list requirements, you may be granted an essential skills work visa. This means that you are permitted to work in New Zealand temporarily. You won't necessarily be able to apply for residence. Some of these jobs include accountants, midwife, anesthetic technician, motor mechanic, baker, outdoor adventure guide, beef and dairy farmer. There's a good one. Panel beater, bricklayer, pediatrician, cardiologist, nurse, carpenter, roof tiler, civil engineering draftsperson, scaffolder, construction project manager, snow sport instructor. I don't think there'll be many of those in South Africa. Glazier, telecommunications technician, medical officer, and winemaker. Now that's another one that could be of interest to people. Now, construction and infrastructure skills shortage list, or CISSL. The construction and infrastructure skills shortage list contains occupations in critical shortage in the construction industry across New Zealand. If your skill appears on the CSSL and meet the list requirements, you may be granted an essential skills work visa. If the occupation is also on the LTSSL, then you may be able to apply for residence. Some of these jobs include construction project manager, carpenter, surveyor, floor finisher, civil engineer, glazier, structural engineer, roof tiler, electrical engineer, plumber, telecommunications engineer, air conditioning and refrigeration mechanic, building inspector, truck driver, metal fabricator, engineering draftsperson, welder, drain layer, bricklayer, telecommunications technician, stonemason, and scaffolder. There you go, guys. Lots of opportunities for anyone in those occupations to consider at least getting temporary visa for New Zealand. And once you're there temporarily, my understanding is that you can start looking at going for a permanent visa. And there are lots of South Africans in New Zealand who will help you. All you have to do is Google South Africans living in New Zealand, or Facebook, do the same thing, and get on there and start chatting to them. All right, guys, have a great evening, and please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Take care for now.